Now for the fun bit, interfaces. We're going to be getting data flowing from our sensors to our users. At least we're going to take a step in that direction. In this video, we'll install the Pi interface for OPC DA read-only, or as I'll call it from now on, the OPC interface, and all other prerequisite software we need before getting everything hooked up. This is what we have right now. We're going to pretend on the left-hand side that we have a distributed control system connected up to our OPC servers. We'll assume that this is all good and working. It's not our job in this course to set this up. It's not Pi system software. We're not really going to touch it, apart from reading from the OPC servers. We'll install three things on OPC int 01. We'll install the Interface Configuration Utility, or ICU, which is the tool we'll use to configure our interfaces. Then we'll install the interface, and then we'll install the Pi API for Windows Integrated Security, which will allow the interface to connect to the data archive with a mapping, which is what we want. Once all this is installed, we can open up the ICU and configure an interface instance. Interface installation is fairly straightforward. We'll connect to PiInt01 and then just run the kits. Now, as we run these, I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this. Feel free to pause the video when you need to, and I'll make comments when we need to make some changes, but otherwise it's pretty much a next affair. So open up the Pi install kits folder on the desktop, and we'll take a look what we have. So the first kit we're running is the Pi ICU install kit. Right click on that and run as administrator. We'll accept the default unzip location, that's fine, and continue. So the setup tells us what's going to be installed, which right now is really everything. This machine doesn't have anything on it yet, at least nothing Pi related. That's fine, let's go. We're asked for a default server. This is the name of our Pi data archive. It's the data archive that any client tools installed on this machine are going to try to connect to by default. So type in Pi srv01 here. That's the name of our data archive in this configuration. So we're asked for a default installation location. Just like with our other installs, we're going to keep our Pi system software off the C drive and put it on its own drive. Just makes it simpler to manage later. The defaults are fine. We'll just change the drive letter. All right. And from now on, we're just going to continue and click next. And we're successful. Now for the OPC interface. Right click and run as administrator. We accept the default and we're told what will be installed. All right, next it's telling us some services that will be restarted. So seeing as though we're not doing anything with those services right now, that's completely fine. We're just going to click next. But if this system was already in production and this was an upgrade, this would matter a fair bit. All of these services will be restarted and data will stop flowing through this interface while we restart, which means a few minutes of data loss, which means golden rule of being an administrator. Your job is to prevent data loss. You failed your job. So it's not really what we want. We'll be able to compensate for it by having redundant interfaces, which we'll discuss later. But we're clicking next for now. And we're done. So now for the Pi API for Windows Integrated Security. Accept the default location and continue. And now we're greeted with a big caution screen. We're installing the part that will remove the ability of the interface machine to use all legacy security models and allow us to use mappings. This is really what we want in this case. This warning screen is here to tell us that if we're upgrading and relying on an old security model, then we're going to have a bad time if we haven't thought about this. We're fine with it now. This is exactly what we want for this class, but if you're upgrading in production, this is definitely something to look at and read. Let's click install. And it looks like the next screen has jumped behind our window here. This can happen if you've got multiple windows open. Just click on the taskbar and it'll come back up. And click next and next on the services restarts, and we're done. Click next and finish. So we can now go down to start and open the interface configuration utility. Or I'll call it the ICU from now on. We'll use this in upcoming lessons to configure interface instances.